is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Ashley Joves, who was born in Marysville, Ohio, and then moved to the Bay Area, California at the age of 4. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychobiology from UC Davis in 2004 and spent 1 year working in a dental practice before she left for dental school in 2005. It was always a dream of hers to live in Manhattan, so she knew that NYU College of Dentistry would be her top choice. It was then that Dr. Ashley truly fell in love with food, culture, and the arts. She graduated from NYUCD in 2009 and completed a 1 year general practice residency at Arlington Memorial Hospital just outside Philadelphia. She received extensive training in all areas of general dentistry and learned more in that year than all the years of dental school combined. She has worked in several private practices from East Coast to West Coast and has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. She said before the show that I was the ugliest in patient management. Dr. Ashley has always been a dreamer, but it took her this long, 8 years to be exact, to finally act on her dreams. Last month, she announced via Facebook Live that she was officially doing a startup and that she was not going to let fear and uncertainty hold her back anymore. That post went viral. I saw it, and it has been viewed almost 10,000 times. Dr. Ashley is documenting her startup journey all in real time on Facebook and Instagram. She hopes that her journey can provide value to anyone thinking about doing a startup. In this day and age where everyone thinks it's a business suicide, especially with the amount of student loan debt they're faced with, she is a mom to 2 young boys, ages 2 and 3, and hopes to inspire more women to take the leap in practice. I just want to say that I have 4 boys, so please stop at 2. Because Ryan, who you talked to, he was number 3. If I would have stopped at 2, you wouldn't have had to deal with Ryan. So, so how old is your startup now?
Well, it's still undergoing construction as we speak. So we started demolition a month and a half ago. So right now everything is still getting wired, and they just started the plumbing actually this week.
Yeah, and the plumbing is so weird in dentistry because it's very complicated plumbing, and they lay down all the plumbing, and then they backfill it with cement. And then 10 years later, when the building settles and something breaks, there's no access to it. It's bizarre how they don't do the plumbing above the concrete so that you can get to it.
Right.
You know, crazy. But so Socrates said, like 500 BC, that humans only had 2 emotions, greed and fear. And when I came out of school, I graduated May 11. I had my office open September 21st. So 4 months, I just dove in deep end. I mean, everyone's scared, but you just deal with the fear. How did you deal with the fear? Because, if you buy a practice, the data is clear. Only 0.4% default on their loan, and those always have to do with something you did that got your license taken away. So it probably wasn't eating too many cookies at Starbucks. It was probably something that gets your license taken away. So if they buy a practice and they only have a 0.4% of defaulting on their loan, why do they have to think about it for so many years in a job that so many of them hate?
Yeah, I honestly, I have no idea. So I actually wanted to purchase a practice before doing this whole startup because everyone said it's going to cost way too much to build from scratch. You don't have the cash flow. You have 0 patients. So why don't you just buy an existing practice and then either add more services or just change something about it? And where I'm at, I'm in Northern California. I actually have been on numerous lists for practices on the market since 2011, which is when I moved back to California. And every office that I looked at, it was sold either above or at or above asking price within a matter of hours. So the competition is fierce here, and it's a seller's market.
Absolutely. But what goes up comes down. Right now, real estate is in a bubble again. You can measure that on the rental rates. I mean, what your 30-year mortgage house payment should be about the rental rate. Usually you can rent a house for about 85% of the mortgage cost of the house. And now we're back to an area now where the rental rates are 50% of the mortgage rates, which means houses are overvalued by 2, just like they were in 2007-8. And the reason you have these business cycles in housing is because the people making all the decisions are imperfect humans. So as long as you have imperfect humans, you'll have imperfect business cycles in stocks, real estate, whatever. But why do you think it's a seller's market now in dentistry? Why do you think with that when you list a practice, you get 4 offers at asking price or more? Why do you think it's a seller's market?
Well, I mean, I'm in California, and everyone wants to live in California. It's it's great weather, and in my area, all of the school systems are nines and tens. We're an hour and a half from Tahoe. We're an hour and a half from Napa. We're an hour and a half from San Francisco. And I mean, students aren't graduating from dental school and trying to move to the middle of nowhere. They want to live where they have great restaurants and great access to shopping and entertainment. So, and I know that dentists these days, they haven't planned properly for retirement, and they think that they're going to retire within X amount of years. And that's the situation, one of the situations that I got pulled into. I thought I was going to take over someone's practice, and it turns out that they don't really want to sell. So there's just way more demand than there is supply in this state, in this area.
You know, you say that you're a foodie, that you're
I
that you moved to, and I'm a foodie too, but I'm probably a little different than you. I only go to restaurants where they have pictures of the food on the menu, like the IHOP, and the first sign that the food is not going to taste good and it's going to be too expensive is when there's no pictures on the menu. So would you agree with that since you're a foodie?
Absolutely.
So
And it has
why did you go back? Why did you leave Manhattan, which is the largest city in America, and where are you actually building your practice? What exact city?
So I am in Folsom, California. We moved back, so I'm married. I left New York in 2009 after I graduated from dental school, and I moved to Philadelphia where my husband was finishing medical school. So I kind of had to follow him around wherever he got in for fellowship and residency. And we are now where our family is. So our family lives about 5-10 minutes away from us. So this is home for us, and I'm excited to finally plant roots.
So the Folsom, is that where Johnny Cash was? That the prison where Johnny Cash?
Yes. That, and my office is a mile and a half away from the Folsom prison, so that's where I'm going to be getting all my new patients from.
Oh my gosh, that was Johnny Cash's. I used to always say that was his best album. It was actually his best album was his last when he got all those other amazing guys to come on and do a song with him. He did it was just a bunch of remakes. But Johnny Cash, and what an amazing guy. But I just want to say something that all the men listening to this missed, because people listen to podcasts are young. They're not old farts like me with grandchildren. They're usually your age and younger. But see, your husband is a doctor.
Right.
And then the boys in the class, their wife was the waitress at the Waffle House who married a rich doctor, so she'll never have to work again and drive a BMW and a Mercedes and just be a foodie connoisseur the rest of her life and destroy 10,000 a month. Did you see that trend in your dental school class where all the women graduated, married a man who had a job, and all the women all married a man with a job, and all the men married whoever looked the hottest in a pair of Calvin Klein jeans?
I did, but I also saw a lot of my classmates marry each other. So
Yeah, and you know what's the neatest thing about that no one talks about enough? When you have more than 6 years of college and you marry someone in your same occupation, you have the lowest divorce rate. You have a 10% divorce rate, which is the divorce rate in countries that arrange marriages, because your parents can pick your spouse better than you can. I mean, there's no doubt about it. America has a 50% divorce rate. Arranged marriage cultures like in India, they have a 10%. But when a dentist marries a dentist, a lawyer, physician, a physician, they have a 10% divorce rate because you have something to talk about.
right. No, I get it. It also makes it more stressful, I think. I don't know how anybody can work to get like husband and wife dentists. I've seen practices where the husband is the dentist and the wife is an office manager. And I've seen it work, and I've seen it where the team members are just not happy.
Well,
So,
when the team members are not happy, it's always because there's not an org chart. So, been there, done that 1,000 times. Talked to every dental consultant about it. In the Catholic Church, you have a pope, cardinals, bishops, priests, altar boys. In the army, you have the general, the colonel, the captain, the infantry. When I go, and your kids are going to do it to you and your husband. They're going to come up to you and say, "Mom, can we eat ice cream?" And you say no. So then they're going to run to dad, and then what you'll figure out is how they're reading you. Because I raised 4 boys and I got 2 grandchildren, but the boys will start trying to figure out who's more likely to say yes, depending on what the topic or the question is. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so when you see that in an office, you need to tell the mom, the husband and wife, we need an org chart. And there can only be one 400-pound gorilla. And if you're not the 400-pound gorilla, if you're the whoever that is, if you're the 350-pound gorilla, then you need to learn how to say, well, what did doctor say?
Right.
But more importantly, the doctor's doing dentistry all day, so it should be the wife up front or the spouse or the husband, the office manager, and then the doctor's got to sit there and feel empathy and sympathy to hear your complaint, and then say, like I always say, I listen to all my employees. Oh wow, oh wow. Oh well, what did Lori say? And then you just see their face drop, like, damn it. I thought you could tell her, and I won't. I mean, I just won't. You can't throw your management team under a bus or it confuses all the infantry.
Right.
So were you happy as an associate? I mean, like, let me start with this. The totally sexist thing you always hear is that the women all don't want to own their own business. They all want to be soccer moms. They want to leave at 5 o'clock, and you got 2 kids and a husband. Your husband has a job. He actually makes money instead of destroys it. And you're just going to work at corporate dentistry for the rest of your life. Is that what your classmates, I mean, you're closer to dental school, than I am. I walked out of mine 30 years ago. Is that what women are thinking? What percent of the girls that are your age and under all the way to dental school really deep down inside are going to own their own office someday, and what percent are saying, no, I'd rather just work for Heartland Dental my whole life?
I would say the majority of my close friends from dental school all are associates still, and we graduated 8 years ago. So I think it's a very small percentage of women who want practice ownership. Yeah. I don't think it was more than 30% of my class who probably are owners. I have no idea though.
So 30% of the girls or 30% of the class? Well, let me ask this. Are girls more likely to work in as an associate than boys?
I think so. Definitely.
Yeah, because all my friends that are CEOs of corporate dental chains, they're all telling me that they're 2/3 of all their associates are women.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
And they also tell me that 80% after 2 years they go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got a bunch of girlfriends and they're all associates?
Yes, for the most part, I would say 95% of them are still associates.
And that's your girlfriends from dental school 8 years out?
Yes.
Okay, so they're 8 years out, and how many girls would this approximately be?
Let's see, like 12 of us.
Damn, that's well, they say in all monkeys and apes, every time a boy talks to another monkey or ape, a girl will talk to 5. A boy says under 1,700 words a day, whether he's a chimpanzee or a rhesus monkey or a human, and girls are over 75. So, I mean, if I had 12 friends, I'd probably just move to another country. It would just be too exhausting. But of these 12 girls, you're under construction for one. How many of those girls own their own office of those 12?
One is about to do a startup as we speak.
Okay, so you and your 12 friends, that's 13. So you're doing a startup, and you have one girlfriend that's doing one also.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're down to 11. What about the other 11?
They're all associates, part-time.
Associates part-time?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many? How part-time?
Some 2 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And of those 2 to 3 days a week part-time associates, 8 years out of school, how many of them have stayed in the same place for 8 years?
Maybe less than half of that. They bounce.
Why do they bounce? Why do associates bounce from corporate to corporate? And it's not a corporate. only employs 12% of the dentist, and 88% is the rest of the market. And I don't see corporate holding on to associates any shorter than the private sector. I mean, it seems like nobody can keep an associate. What are your girlfriends telling you why they left their job and went to another job? What did they not like?
Most of it, I would say, would be just the office environment. They were overworked. Their schedules were double booked, sometimes triple booked, and they just didn't have that much autonomy. But they also understand that because they are an associate.
But of those ones that are working 2 to 3, of those, there's 13 of you, you and your 12 girlfriends. How many of them have a husband that actually has a damn good job?
I would say all of them.
Yeah, all of them. So see, girls have a luxury. You can't just get mad and give notice at your job if you have a stay-home wife with 3 kids.
Right.
You know, you're going to have to learn to eat a lot of shit sandwiches because you got to drag a gazelle home every night and feed the kids.
Right.
But if you got a husband and wife and they're each doctors, there's a lot of, that's double income. I mean, they have a lot of freedom to do what they want. So you think your this small sample size of 13 is most likely reflective of the 6,000 graduates that graduated this week from dental school, half of which are girls, half of which are boys? Do you think your 13 friends will probably match and mirror these 3,000 women that just graduated this week?
I sure hope not. I hope more women want to become practice owners.
And why is that?
Because I think that, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Sheryl Sandberg, and I just think that there's
Who's
so
Sheryl Sandberg?
Is she the CFO? What's her name? COO of Facebook?
Oh, COO of and how old is she? And is she a billionaire?
Yeah, I have no idea how old she is, but I'm sure she is a billionaire.
Her name is Sheryl what?
Sandberg, Sandberg.
Okay. Is Sheryl SH or CH?
SH.
Oh, you got it. Okay. So you're a big fan of Sheryl. So Ryan just texted me. Okay. So tell me more about Sheryl Sandberg and why you're a big fan of Sheryl.
So last year, I actually stayed home. My husband got accepted to UCLA for a pain fellowship. So we left my very comfortable associate job here. I was working here in Folsom with kids, actually. I know how much you love to see kids. So we left only for 1 year, and I had just given birth to my second son. So he was 3 months old at the time when we moved down, and I knew that we were only going to be in LA for short term. So I took that opportunity to stay home and really enjoy being a stay-at-home mom. And I thought that, every woman is hardwired for that. That's something that should be natural. And I thought I would have dinner prepared for my husband every day, and I thought the apartment would be immaculate. And reality sunk in that I am a much better mom when I am working. So that's actually the year when I discovered your podcast and all the other amazing podcasts with Anissa Holmes. And I started listening to audiobooks and listening to TED Talks. And Sheryl Sandberg's book called Lean In, it just really got me inspired about how women really need to step up, and you can be a good mom, and you can be a leader in the workforce, and you don't have to think that it's either or. So
that is amazing. So when do you we've had Anissa Holmes on the show, and I get to see her in Jamaica. I'm lecturing in Jamaica whenever their annual meeting is. Are you going to that, Ryan? And then you also are a big fan of the Dental Marketer podcast, Michael Arias. That's an amazing podcast. And I want to tell everybody that on the Dentaltown, we now have 39 people in dentistry posting a podcast, and it's just taken on a life of its own. I'm so proud of that section. Again, I want to call out one podcast in particular, just because I'm shocked by how big podcasting is. And by the way, podcasting is competing with radio. Everyone's commuting to work. But there's one guy, how to open a dental office. He's put up 115 shows, and he's now at 674,405 views, and that's just from Dentaltown. Most of these people find the podcast on Dentaltown. Then after they become fans of the show, they might subscribe on iTunes. But a lot of the townies tell me that they get in their car, they open up the app, they scroll through these 39 podcasts to see what they need. I mean, some days you might need marketing, some days you might need clinical. I mean, it's all different. But so tell me how you met Anissa Holmes and how she's doing a case study with you, right?
She is. So the last day of my associateship, my husband told me to go on Facebook Live and just announce that I was finally doing a startup, because it was something that I had dreamt about for so long. And I told him, there's no way. I don't take selfies. I don't want to put myself out there. And he said, no, just do it. You shouldn't let fear hold you back. So I did it, and I really thought that the only people who would watch were going to be him, my mom, my little cousins. And no, I really didn't expect anybody to really pay attention to anything that I had to say. And like within minutes of me putting it out there, I was just getting all these comments and likes and and people started sharing it. And I think the first day that after I had published it, it had gone up to 4,500 views. And I only know like 5 people, or I guess 13, including my dental school friends. So I just reached out to Anissa the following morning, and I just thanked her. I said, like, last year I felt like I wasn't a good mom, and I wasn't productive, and I wasn't doing anything for me. And I just thanked her. I said, thank you so much for being a woman in this industry and showing that, it's possible to go after your dreams. And I told her about my live, and I said, it's crazy. Like, I never thought that I was going to get this many views. And as soon as I said, that was all through Facebook Messenger. And she responded within minutes, and she's like, oh my goodness, I just watched your video. That was awesome. And then, so ever since then, she has been my personal mentor. And anytime I have a question about, like, what should I do about this? And she's been teaching me about Facebook targeting, because I don't know anything about that stuff. Like, I really never posted on social media before, except to put up pictures of my boys. So now she's documenting my case. I'm her first official case study. So she's going to be tracking my progress from now until, I don't know, through when I open my doors, or maybe even beyond that, just to see what the power of Facebook can be.
She's going to interview you on her podcast.
Yes, yeah. So she said that in the next few weeks she's going to have me on.
That is awesome. And then you also are a fan of the Dental Marketer podcast with Michael Arias. Tell me about that. Your Facebook post got his attention too.
Right. So it's so crazy, the turn of events that happened after I posted that one video. So out of the blue, Michael Arias from the Dental Marketer podcast, he reached out to me again on Facebook Messenger, and he said, hey, I saw your video. Would you be interested in an interview? I didn't know like what to expect about it, and then we did our first interview, and after we ended the interview, he said, I think that this could really help a lot of people who may be interested in possibly doing a startup. So he created this whole spin-off series where every week he interviews me about what's going on in the whole construction process, marketing, branding. So we're doing everything in real time.
And he's in Los Angeles. So what's that, about a 6-hour drive from you?
Yes. Yeah. About a 6.5 hour drive.
So he's podcasting you once a week?
Yes.
Through this process?
Yep.
That is just awesome. I just love this new technology. You got to remember, when I got out of school, there was no computer. There's no PC. I mean, when I got out of dental school, there was no PC, there was no cell phone. I'm so damn old. I still think the greatest technological invention was the garage door opener. Because every time my mom pulled up to the house, she said, "Get out and open the garage door," and they were made out of wood. And when you're a little boy, I mean, it almost broke every bone in your body, and you had to shove it the last part, or it'd come back down, and then and when it crashed. But it's just amazing how. I just read the other day there's 7.5 billion people, and 3.5 billion are connected to the internet by a smartphone. So half the planet can reach Facebook, iTunes, YouTube, Wikipedia. That's why I so think this is going to be humans' greatest century. I mean, everybody says the last century is the greatest century. We landed on the moon, we invented radio and television and the internet and all that stuff. I don't think the world's seen anything yet. I mean, it's just, and not to mention, we're in 2017. By the first 17 years of the last century, we already had the Spanish influenza that killed 5% of the population of Earth.
Right.
And now we have people that don't even believe in vaccines.
Hey, that's another story.
So I just love your passion. I mean, when you were so far, when you've been telling me this stuff, you're verklempt just talking about it. I mean, that is some heavy passion. Where does that passion come from?
I would say it's from my mom. Like my mom, she is a single parent, and she raised me all by herself. And she's a dentist in the Philippines. And when she moved here to the States, she tried and tried to become a dentist here, but because of lack of resources and lack of funds, it was something that she just kept pushing to the back burner. So I grew up in the dental office. She couldn't afford daycare, so she would bring me to whatever office that she would work in as an RDA, as a sterilization tech, as an ortho assistant, and that's who I think I got my passion from, or that's who I know I got my passion from. And it's amazing being able to live my dream and my mom's dream all at the same time.
Oh my God, what you think of those two grandkids?
Oh my goodness, they are the most spoiled boys in the entire universe, because I'm the only child and my husband is the only child. So these are the only grandkids on both sides. So you can imagine how much love these kids get.
And dental decay. Have you read about the dental decay in China? And
No.
no, seriously. When I lectured in Shenzhen, the problem is they had the one-child rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have two parents. So you have that each had a kid, and then those two single kids get married and have a kid. So that every kid has two parents and four grandparents, and they just created more wealth in the last 30 years than ever before. And so you have 6 people bringing this kid treats, and they think, well, I'll bring him a Hershey's bar, a Coca-Cola, an ice cream. And for the first time ever, they started developing diabetes, obesity, dental decay. And here's these 4 grandparents that have this vegan diet. You know, in China, like if when they eat a bowl of rice, there might be like a piece of chicken on top. When you go to a Chinese restaurant in America, that bowl of chicken is half chicken, and all the sauces got sugar.
Right.
So they're bringing all these kids into the dentist. They're saying, why is my baby fat, and why are there holes on the teeth? And they're having to teach the Chinese people that if you buy them these fancy treats, and it's so funny when you go to China, because when you're in America, not one American could name any president of China for the last 5,000 years. So when you go to China, not any of them can name any of our presidents either. And every time I talk to a Chinese dentist, I'd say, and I'm not talking in Hong Kong, I'm talking in Shenzhen and in. I say, well, when I say the United States, what do you think of? I mean, what comes to your mind when I say the United States of America? And every one of them only names something you think of. Oh, Hershey's, Coca-Cola, KFC, McDonald's. They just associate America. We just export good things to eat and drink. But yeah, so I totally get it. If your husband is an only child, you're an only child, and you got 2 grandkids, my God, them are going to be some spoiled kids.
Yes.
I'm a grandkid too, and my son gets mad because when my grandkids come over, whenever they ask me a question, I say, when you're in Grandpa's house, you don't have to ask for nothing. You want to? I don't care what you want to do. You want to draw on the wall? You want to eat ice cream? Just there's no at Grandpa's house. Do whatever the hell you want. Um, so that is so cool. So is your mom going to work for you?
She's an office manager in the Bay Area. So she's going to be helping me from time to time. She's going to show me insurance stuff and QuickBooks, I hope. But I mean, I would love for her to help me out. Yeah.
I mean, how far is she from Folsom?
So she has a house near us, but she's only in it on the weekends. So she lives 5 minutes away, but during the week, she's 3 hours away.
My gosh! And does she drive 3 hours home every night, or does she have it done?
No, she works in Mountain View during the week. So she's there from Sunday till Thursday evening, and then Thursday evening she drives up the 3 hours.
But I mean, where does she stay? Just like at a local hotel or a Holiday Inn,
She
or?
stays with my cousin, and she has a
Oh,
couple
okay.
of friends down there.
My gosh, don't you see the chemistry if you hired her full time? I mean, when you start, she can do every position. I mean, it'd be
Right,
no risk to start. Just she's the dry hands, you're the wet hands, and she's dry, I'm wet. Let's. I mean, two people can do it all, but the trust to have a
right,
mother daughter because we sell the invisible. And what
right,
I knew you would absolutely crush it ever when you saying on your bio, I love people truly, honestly, deeply. And I think our relationships that we build with our patients and our team members is the single most important factor to our success in business and in life. You are so damn sweet and adorable. I swear to God, the best business move you will ever make is to tell your mom, no, you're staying in Folsom and we're going to do this together. The
awesome.
patients will love it. The amount of dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin they'll start pouring off the only way you could match that is if you had like 6 puppies run out there and start kissing your patients. I'm telling you because you sell the invisible and it's the most
Right,
ultimate trust. Mom's a dentist from the Philippines, the daughter's a dentist from the United States. You spent your whole life in dentistry. It's your love, your passion. Not one person will think, well, I don't need to get my transmission fluid changed. I don't need to get a new radiator. I don't believe you. So then your treatment plan case instead of diagnosing 3 cavities to do one, you'll diagnose 3 cavities and you'll do 2. Because that one in the middle that doesn't commit, doesn't believe, doesn't trust, and you can prove it to yourself. If you're listening to this, is go in there and tell the patient everything they need, and then take your iPhone, turn on record, leave it in the room, walk out. They'll turn to the dental assistant, they'll turn to the hygienist, and the first 6 questions they'll ask are all based on trust.
right.
But if they know that's your mom up front and she's adorable, and they meet you, I mean, the trust will be there. And once you can convey trust when you're selling the invisible, everyone will, if you can just get them to believe that they really have a cavity, you're done.
Right.
That is the key, and your mother will be. Plus, I mean, it'll be priceless.
Yeah. No, it's an exciting time, and I'm so happy I get to share it with her.
And sharing it on social media.
That's
So,
true.
so do you think you're going to inspire more women to open up their own practice? Do you think you'll inspire more women who are working at corporate that don't like it?
I sure hope so. I've actually already been reached out to by a few different female docs asking if they should do a startup. And it's awesome. Like I never thought I would be someone that somebody looked up to, or not looked up to, but I don't know. I am just a regular person who is finally acting on her dream, and I don't know a lot. I'm not an expert. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to believe you can.
So, you also say that you're a foodie and you're passionate about small business entrepreneurship. So you're merging this with your love of dentistry. Tell this fat guy how I can merge food with dentistry. Because I love food more than you. I weigh twice as you. How do you merge food, entrepreneurship, and dentistry?
So I have this whole vision in my head. Like I hate going to the dentist. Like 100%. I hate it. I'm scared of getting shots. I hate like just feeling vulnerable in the chair and not knowing what's going to happen or what they're going to find. And all of my best experiences have all been at the table with a friend, with a colleague, sharing a glass of wine or a cup of coffee. And so what I wanted to do with this space was just recreate that. So I'm in Sacramento, or I'm in Folsom, just outside of Sacramento, and we have amazing vineyards just an hour, maybe even less, an hour away from here. Sacramento also has a very up-and-coming craft beer scene, and we have a lot of restaurants. So what I wanted to do is host events outside of normal office hours where these different small businesses can come together, and the patients and the community members can come in and taste beer, taste wine, taste the food that is available to them. And if they want to talk to me about teeth, I think it's the best environment because they are not sitting in the dental chair with a patient napkin and feeling like they're being lectured or being lied to about something. So I wanted it to be a very casual experience where you can ask me whatever, and I'll be completely honest with you.
Oh my God, you are so gonna crush it. Yeah, I just wish I could take you and do an IPO. I just want to take you public, and oh my God, because everybody talks about they want to be a unique selling proposition,
Yeah.
and then they go out and be the exact same thing as the person across the street. Everyone thinks they're unique, exactly like their other person. I mean, it's just crazy. And what you're just thinking outside the box. It's all about relationships. It's all about networking. Just the simple thing of in between. I can give you one behavior that's the difference between $1.5 million practice and a $750,000. The $750,000 practice, when the dentist is done doing the dentistry, he goes back in his private office and shuts the door. And then the $1.5 million dentist, he goes up front, goes and shakes a couple of hands in the waiting room, and makes his receptionist start laughing. Mm-hmm. Just that one behavior of going from it's a library and the dentist is hiding in the corner to someone who actually wants to go out there and press the flesh and run for mayor. I've told everybody that every $1 million practice, when you walk into the office, in 1 second, you can feel the $1 million practice because they're happy, they're giggling, they love, there's trust. And then when you go in that area and it feels like you're in the library and who's burning eugenol, it's always $750, and the problem is, it's always, politics or Russia or North Korea. It's never the fact that, I feel like I'm in a convent and I should start praying, So that is just amazing. So when do you think your open day will be?
So far, the target completion date is August 16th, and my birthday is August 12th. So I'm hoping it's going to be one big birthday bash at the new office.
So your birthday is August 12th?
Yes.
And you're going to be the ripe old age of 35?
Yes.
And my birthday is August 29th, and I'm going to be 55.
Hey.
Yesterday, guess what I celebrated last night?
What?
Me and a whole bunch of dentists, me and Tom Manner, and a bunch of us went out because I celebrated my 20,000 day birthday. It's a new thing. It's a new thing. If you Google 10,000 days, there's a calculator. Your birthday and tells you when you're 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. I'll be 30,000 days when I'm 82. But yesterday I celebrated my 20,000th. So you think you're gonna open it on your birthday?
That would be amazing. I would love that. I hope so. We'll see. I keep changing my design plans, and then they have to reel me back in because the budget has to match. So.
Yeah, the budget has to match. I want to also tell you that you got 2 kids.
Yes.
Of 30 years of marketing at my dental office, do you know what my number one marketing thing is that I ever did?
Was it your grandkids?
No. Every time I had a baby boy, I took out, it's kind of complicated. I live in Phoenix, but everybody calls it OT. So when you come to Phoenix, there's this 100-block wide mountain park called South Mountain that separates The top 90% of Phoenix, the bottom 10%. It's all Phoenix, but everybody south of the mountain calls themselves Ahwatukee, even though they live in Phoenix. In fact, if I said to my neighbor, "Do you live in Phoenix?" He'd say, "No, I live in Ahwatukee," but it's Phoenix, okay? So Phoenix had its own little newspaper with its little 80,000 people that live south of it. Every time I had a baby, I took out a full-page ad in the Ahwatukee newspaper, said, Dr. Howard Farran would like to announce his new patient of the month, Eric Wells Farran, and then Greg Farran. And if you look at, here's something interesting. So if you look at Billboard Hot 100 top 5 words entitled by decade, the number one word in every decade was love. So I'll just go through. What are we at? 2010. It's love, then time, night, girl, song. 2000 was love, time, girl, life, wanna. 1990, love, heart, time, girl, life. 1980, love, heart. So it's always love, and then the other graph I liked on that, which to kind of a second deal, is the perfect word for songwriters. The 20 most used words in the top 50 songs written by the Rolling Stones. Number 1 was baby, 2 was love, and when they see you working with your mom, and your 2 kids should be the stars of all the ads. And your mom is a doctor. I mean, who cares that if she crossed the line, she's not a licensed doctor? Your mom's a dentist.
Right.
Second generation dentistry. And then do fun stuff with the words love, baby, all that. And ask each one of the kids in a video, who's the better dentist? Me or grandma? And they'll say something totally, kids, they'll say something totally off the charts. You'll have no idea what to come out. But when everybody hears it, they'll just melt. They'll love. That's the Billboard. It's in every title of all the top hit songs. I would start. I would love to start writing your ad. Just two generations of dentists.
Right.
Now you got 2 kids. Get the word love or baby in there somehow.
Okay.
Make stuff, funny stuff. Say what are your 2 boys' names?
Hudson is the older one, and Brady is the baby.
Hudson and Brady.
Yes.
Say, Hudson says grandma's the best dentist. Brady says it's mom. We want you to come into our practice and break the tie. Or we want you to come into our office and tell us, solve this mystery for us, And, but yeah, I mean, you are just going to crush it because you're so sincere and you're so authentic. And once you learn how to fake sincerity and be authentic, you're off to the races.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me, Howard.
So so we just had 6,000 kids graduate this week from 56 dental schools in the United States. Half of them were girls. Mm-hmm. If you were given the commencement speech to the 3,000 women, I know what I would be saying to the 3,000 men. I'd say, before you leave, you marry one of these girls in the class tonight. Do not graduate without a wedding ring from one of these girls, because all you have to do is play golf the rest of your life and she'll make $10,000 a month. But what would you be telling the girls?
I would say, don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Like, you can have it all. And if practice ownership and being a mom is important to you, then make it happen. I think I know personally from experience that I am much more patient, much more kind, much more loving to my boys when I'm not around them 24 hours a day. So I think that women should step up and not feel like they have to be a part-time associate somewhere in order to be a good mom.
So you feel like society puts a lot of guilt on women if they're...
I think women put a lot of guilt on women. I think ourselves, like I'm guilty of this now. I feel like all of the meetings that I've had to take and all of the time spent on Dentaltown and researching all the different equipment and IT and doing all this legal stuff, it's all time taken away from my family. And I already feel guilty about that. And my office isn't even open. And I think it's I don't know if it's just something that I put on myself, or as a mom, we just feel that we should be there more for our kids. So we'll see. I am doing this personally because I want to take off, you know, on Thursday afternoon to go to Hudson's future soccer game. And as an associate, I worked in one job where I had to give 6 months notice before we took any time off. And who knows what life has in store? You can't plan 6 months in advance. And working as an associate just a few months ago, I already missed out on my son's preschool concert, and I don't want to miss out on any more important events. So, and I think the only way to have the freedom and flexibility to do that is start the foundation now, so that, whenever I want to take off, I'll just have my mom or whoever is in the front say, you know what, block out this day because this is for Brady or this is for Hudson.
I know when somebody tells me, well, I want to be a job as an associate, and again, I'm not throwing corporate under their buds. They're only hiring 12% of the, they're only 12% of the market. Most associates, like if you're 12 girlfriends that are associates, what percent of them are in big box retail where they have 50 or more locations, and which one of them are just an associate for some private
I
practicing
would
dentist?
say maybe 25% are in corporate.
Corporate big box.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like the word corporate because all the individual dentists are incorporated.
Oh,
They're all a LLC. I mean, a CPA would say they're all corporate. But my definition of corporate, if you listen to my show, you got to have 50 or more locations. But people say, well, girls don't want to work for them, so they can be a soccer mom. Hell, a real soccer mom don't work for anybody. I mean, I remember when I was a dentist, sometimes I would get a call and said, one time I got a call that they're taking Eric to the emergency room. Well, I don't want to ask the office manager. I don't want to ask my boss.
right.
Sometimes being corporate is you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, I got 4 kids and my wife is sick.
Right.
And you know what? I know we're really, really busy, but, I used to remember the worst sound when I had kids is when you hear someone hurl in the middle of the night because now you got to get up.
Right.
There's vomit in the bed. And when
Mhm.
you wake up some mornings and 2 of the 4 kids and the ex-wife are all puking in the bed, a real soccer mom says, I'm sorry, but a virus has taken today. And you
Right.
just call your office manager and said, I know you don't want to hear this, but I ain't coming in today. And
Right.
that's a real soccer mom when you can just
Right.
own your own deal. It'll be interesting to see what's going on. But I still think the deal is fear. I still
Right.
think it comes down to fear. I think a lot of people want to do it and they just live in fear. And what would you tell that commencement class about dealing with fear?
I think that you should make a business plan because that'll help you narrow down the direction that you want to go, and it'll help you narrow down your target demographic and how you will differentiate yourself in a saturated market. And then from there, I think you should meet with someone who works at a bank and go over numbers, because if financially it's feasible, like they'll go over what they need you to make every month in order to survive and pay off your loans. If And you'll find that it's a lot more doable than what they want you to believe. And I graduated from NYU. I had 350,000 in debt, and I think the average student debt these days is more than that. And they really they make it seem like it's something that's so not attainable to do a startup. But I also am very blessed to have the second income from my husband. So he's my guarantor, just in case anything happened. But I would say, yeah, just look at your finances and then go from there. But make an educated decision. Don't just say, you know what, I can't do this. It's not feasible.
So I'll just sum up everything she just said in that whole rant into you can marry more money in a minute than you can earn in a lifetime. Who cares about about $300,000 student loans? If let's just say your husband made only $100,000 a year, and for 40 years, so it'd be 100,000 times 40. He'll make $4 million. He'll bring in $4 million in revenue, but before he's 65, who cares about $300,000 student loans? And here's the mixed message I'm getting. I see these kids come out of school and they go, "Well, I can't start my own practice because I'm, I got $350,000 in student loans." They get a job at corporate, and then next time you see them at the annual meeting at the Arizona State Dental Association, say, "What'd you do?" "Oh, we just bought a house in Gilbert." I'll say, "How much was that house?" $350. Damn. Seems like last year, $350,000 student loans. You're almost ready to have to take a blue pill every night before you went to bed. But now you're all happy about a $350,000 house because a house makes you happy. Like when I get on the scale, it depresses me. So I always eat an ice cream bar when I'm on the scale because that makes me happy regardless of the number. So the $350,000 of student loans, oh, that's so sad. Let's play a violin and be sad. $350 for a house. Oh my God. I talked to this one kid so depressed on his student loans. The very next time I saw him, he just bought a BMW. So money, and who's that woman on TV that always talks about money? That
Susie Orman.
Susie Orman. Susie Orman, is that her name? She always talks about how money decisions are always irrational and emotional, and it's so. I guess what we're saying is, it's completely irrational to believe that a soccer mom is best served as an employee. It's completely irrational to believe that buying a practice, knowing you're talking about the bank going over your numbers, if you bought a practice, they have entire teams for 10, 20, 30 years. This is their core competency. They only do dentists. They don't do ice cream parlors. They don't do Mexican restaurants. They don't do Chinese restaurants. They only do dentistry. They know this industry so perfect. If they underwrite you the loan, it's only a 0.4% chance you'll go under. They know those 50, 60-year-old bankers know you 30 and under kids 10 times better than you do from a business point of view, the numbers. So if they underwrite your loan, the only way you're going under is if you do something to get your license taken away. So far, how many dentists do you know have their license taken away?
0.
Well, you're not drinking with the right people. You need to raise your A game. You need to start hanging out with wilder and crazy dentists. But yeah, you have to get your license taken away. So the fear is completely irrational. I only got you for 5 more minutes. What other parting advice would you give these kids?
I would just say, just go for it. Just do it. And I never thought that, like I said, I stepped out of my comfort zone and I announced to the whole world that I was finally doing something that I've been dreaming about. And now I'm on the Howard Farran show. Like,
the Howard Farran show, that is nothing. You've already been on Dr. Anissa Holmes' show, and you've been on Dr. Michael Arias, host of the Dental Marketer podcast. So of the 3 podcasts, no, not mine, that's not fair to ask. So how many podcasts do you listen to?
Oh gosh, I listen to way too many. Well, I was commuting about an hour each way to work.
Exactly. So basically everything I read about podcasts, it's destroying radio because the radio is half commercials. And even when they do play a song, well, your iPhone has 1,000 songs that you chose.
Right.
What's the chance that the 6 songs that they choose are the ones that you like? So the commercials killed radio. Right. And I see that with myself personally with because the only people watching TV are over 50 and I'm 54. The only news I can watch is Vice News. Because if you watch CNN or Fox News, it's 25 minutes an hour of commercials. Yep. And all the commercials are prescription pills, which make you all feel weird, like, oh my God, I wonder if I'm going to die of that disease, or I wonder how many more years I got to live, or should I start taking? So what I do is I don't want to take all those prescriptions, but I want to, so I just get jars of Skittles and pretend they're the pills that I'm eating during the commercial. Like, oh, I need to take that pill. That's an orange one. That's a blue one. But so podcasts are, it's all commuters. Right. And you had an hour commute. So what kind of podcast genres were you listening to?
Oh, everything. So every kind of dental podcast is on my iTunes. Serial, NPR, How I Built This. What else? S-Town. So
What's
all
S-Town?
S-Town is from the creators of NPR and Serial, and it tracks a murder mystery, so to speak. Really interesting, real life stuff.
Well, I should listen because I love cereal, especially peanut butter Captain Crunch. It's my favorite cereal. Um, what are all the dental podcasts you're listening to?
Besides yours and Anissa's, I listen to Jonathan Van Horn's. I listen to the dental hacks. I listen to T-Bone Speaks, the Thriving Dentist Show. What else? There's just so many.
T-Bone Speaks is the best one. You know why it's the best one?
Why?
We both went to UMKC Dental School, but he's actually balder and fatter than me. So he's number one. That guy's got to outweigh me by at least 10 pounds. I promote anybody who's balder and fatter than me, and I got to give it to T-Bone. He beat me.
That's
Beat me
awesome.
by, I think it might only be 4.5 pounds. But yeah, T-Bone is just, he is such an amazing. And that's another, you remind me of T-Bone. Because he's so sincere. He's so authentic. His wife's a doctor, too. He's
Right.
got 3 kids. But you talk to T-Bone, you instantly know in 1/2 of a second, he'd give you the shirt off his back. He'd do anything for you. He's just the nicest, most sincere guy. And those are the guys that crush it with their patients, again, because you're selling the invisible. And we're seeing another shift of that in business, which, millennials like you would actually rather do their banking online than drive to the bank and work with a teller.
Right.
We're seeing people with these, what was that online booking dental appointment? What is it? No, that's for specialists. But anyway, millennials like you would rather call a dental office. Book a dental office appointment on their website.
Right.
You'd like to go to the website, look at the openings, and
Right.
schedule. You don't need to talk to a human.
Right.
But gosh, when you're selling something where I need to look you in the eyes and I need to feel that you're not doing something, like you said, you're vulnerable. I don't know if my car really needs this and my air conditioner really needs that. And when they walk and when they meet you, they are going to absolutely, instantly believe your sincerity, your authenticity, and then it's only going to go straight from, I believe you. Now it's just going to go to finance and fear. That's the whole market in half. Half are too afraid, and the other half are afraid of the cost. And as far as the cost goes, if you just realize that 90% of everything sold in America over $1,000 is finance, and quit saying this will be $2,000 and start saying this will be $100 a month for 2 years.
Right.
And 10% will say, well, I don't want to finance, so I'll pay in cash. But the other 90%, that first number they'll hear is that monthly payment. So they believe you. That's the big deal. And then you presented every fee over $1,000 in a payment term. So you just build your chart instead of asking if they've ever had herpes, gonorrhea, or syphilis. Start asking them, have you had your job for 2 years? Ask them the care credit questions so that when they're doing the treatment planning, they can run the care credit, finance, whatever, and walk in there and say, oh my God, Ashley, good news. Doctor can do everything you need for just $175 a month for 36 months. I'm so excited. And they're like, hey, everybody wants a whiter, brighter, sexier smile. Can they afford it? But first, they got to believe it, and you will own that department, especially if your mother's up front, and especially if those 2 baby adorable boys are in all the ads.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Howard.
And you got my email, howard@dentaltown.com. You ever on your journey, anything, you always email me and let Uncle Howie know if you ever come to a fork in the road and need to bounce it by me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And thank you for being a role model to all those girls in dental school, because I want them to grow up. I want them to marry a guy in their class and be the ultimate soccer mom by owning their own practice. And if they truly only want to work 2 days a week, then find another woman that wants to work 2 days a week. And that's the last thing I want to remind you. I don't say it enough, but being a woman dentist is a unique selling proposition, because even though half the class is women, they've graduated so many men for so many years, a very small part of the market. But since half the market is in fear, Who do
Mhm.
you think the 325 million Americans think are more likely to hurt you, me or you?
You.
Yeah, yeah. So if I'm afraid and I see little Ashley Joves, and then I see this man, and I'm just gonna think, well, she'll be more likely. Now let's go to women.
Mhm.
If the dentist says your kid has 3 cavities, do you have any questions? She'll say no, and then as soon as you leave, she turns to the girl assistant, the girl hygienist, and asks 7 questions.
Right.
We're seeing that when the doctor's a girl, she asks you the 7 questions.
Mhm.
So if you ever do get an associate, keep branding. Just keep it all women. Just
Keep
keep
it
it's easy to market. It's easy to brand. Don't confuse the image by bringing in a male associate. Just they're afraid. So
right.
just all women. We'll never hurt you. We're sweet. We're honest. Your mom's in the picture. I mean, it's just gonna be easy. I hope you do an IPO. I'm gonna buy the stock.
Thank you. That means so much to me.
All right, you have a rocking hot day. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so
on the
much.
show.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care, Howard.
And tell Anissa that I can't wait to see her in Jamaica.
Okay, I will.